It was November 1998 when the fifth game in the Legend of Zelda franchise was released. Ocarina of Time on the N64, the first to bring us a 3D look instead of the top-down perspective that we had been used to up to this point, and gave us new gameplay mechanics that would become mainstays in future entries, such as Z-targeting and a specific action button. It is considered by many to be one of the greatest games of all time, if not the series itself, and its popularity even 2 decades later have seen it get ported and re-released on later Nintendo consoles. So today we will dive in and wax nostalgic about this classic game next on Downloadable Content. Hello everyone! Welcome to Autumn, welcome to Downloadable Content. I am Brian, and with me today we have Ron.
Hey everyone.
We have Jeremiah, welcome back.
Back from my yearly or bi-yearly visit, or whatever it is nowadays.
And prying herself away from the craziness of Kisarth Studios, we have Tanya.
Hello!
Welcome back. It's been ages, Tanya.
It has been a long time.
Like, Jeremiah's already, I think, been on an episode this season, and this is your first appearance, so...
Catching up.
It's like, yes, it's a race here. Ron is over 100 episodes at this point, so yeah, good luck.
Ron's won already.
And when you can see me through this magnifying glass, or spyglass.
Yep.
That's what I'm looking for, spyglass.
You've lapped the competition by at least triple, so... But yes, we're going to be talking about Ocarina of Time today. It's a classic game, and I'm sure we're going to have much to say about it. But before we do, just want to remind everyone out there, I know it's been a few months, but every single episode of Downloadable Content can be found on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, and Google Play Music, as well as our website, dlcpodcast.com. I dusted off the cobwebs a bit, so it looks, it's up to date, it's relevant, mostly. And, you can find every single episode there. You can find information regarding upcoming episodes. Let us know if you want to be in one. Give us feedback. Give us ideas. It's all there. dlcpodcast.com. Oh. Alrighty. So, yes, 20th anniversary of Ocarina of Time. God, I feel old. November 21st, 1998, when it was released, and the world was never the same again. It had been 5 years since the previous Zelda game, which was Link's Awakening in 1993.
Oh, God.
Wow.
And A Link to the Past in 1991. So... yeah, so already now everyone feel old and decrepit and get the Geritol ready. Yes.
Yep.
Yep. Get me the Mylanta. We're gonna dive in the Ensure. So first Zelda game on the N64, and it was a big one. Just the differences between A Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, and this were gigantic. And this was the game that, for me, this was my first entry. This was my introduction to Zelda, this game. I mean, I had played little tiny drips and drabs of the original Legend of Zelda when I was 5 and owned an NES, but I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. No idea.
Here, that one.
What the hell was going on? There's no direction in that game. I think I was maybe like 10 minutes, like, okay, I'm bored now. And, that was the end of that. But this was my introduction to the Zelda franchise, much in the same way that Final Fantasy VII was my introduction to the Final Fantasy series, and I could not put this game down. I was hooked.
I mean, to be fair, compared to the other Zelda franchises and like most games during this time, the first leap from 2D to 3D was going to be a major shift, not just in the graphics, but also the sound quality, because now you're not dealing with MIDI chips. You can actually use MP3s and stuff for audio files.
Yep, I mean, that's, just the graphical upgrade, especially if you had been a fan of the series and you had played the 4 previous games up to this point. It's just like, whoa!
Well, and it was just a whole lot more fun to explore in a world where you can get, you're riding a horse and you can look around and see this world in front of you versus it's go to this pixel to the left, it go up to the right. It's a lot more fun just to ride around and explore this world than it was to just walk around the flat sprites we had before.
Oh yes, absolutely. And, funnily enough, that, after I played this game years, much later, I played A Link to the Past, and I could see just how much Nintendo stole from A Link to the Past to put in Ocarina of Time.
Yep.
Nintendo stealing Zelda stuff from themselves? What?
Nintendo, you should file a cease and desist against yourself.
They would too.
Jerks. But yes, it's just the big changes, the big jump going from 2D to 3D, and this was a long game. Like,
how many hours was it again? I forget.
30 hours? I think if you're like going about it casually.
Let's see. The website How Long to Beat says 27 main story, completionist 39.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah.
Which
was really long for then.
But for then, yes. Especially since I was definitely not... 1998. November 1998, I had just turned 13. And a game that long, it was like, oh my god. Like, I was never even allowed to play a game like that because, parents thinking that video games were the root of all evil, which meant that unless the game had a save function, good luck for me ever beating it, ever. And
back in the days of memory cards.
Yep. And this was on the N64, so you either had the memory pack in the controller, or you were blessed with the save right in the cartridge.
And this is the one that came out? Yeah, it was Majora's Mask that started the special extra memory thing you had to stick in your console, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the memory, the cartridge wasn't big enough.
And that was a 4 megabyte memory stick. Oh. It's like an MP3.
It's just like, what a big powerhouse of resources, which, at the time it was. And now you can sneeze 4 megabytes. It's like, oh, there it is right there. But a lot of the things that Nintendo put in this game, a lot of gameplay features, a lot of gameplay mechanics are now mainstays. I mean, right up through Breath of the Wild. It's kind of like one of those, like, Z-targeting, for example. That gets introduced in Ocarina of Time, and now it's like, I can't imagine a Zelda game without it. Like, how did we live? Because we had the top-down shit for, 10
How did we live without lock-on?
Yeah, it's like, what did we do? Oh, we were, the Stone Age of gaming here.
Yeah, we actually had to aim your gun and point it in the direction you want to aim at instead of just firing and having the bullets whiz to the target from, like, the opposite direction you're facing.
Or, heck, the ability to dodge.
Well, I mean, back then, especially in the 2D era, you had the camera working for you with the top-down view. But, when we get to 3D, well, the camera, it either works against you or it works with you. It's one or the other, really.
Depending upon what kind of game you're trying to do with Legend of Zelda. or Ocarina of Time, you also could use the camera to literally glitch away through 3/4 of the game.
I'm gonna mention that. I'm going to mention that on this episode, and then mention it in greater detail on the next episode when we talk about speed running.
Fair enough.
But yes, I've seen that glitch, and I was just like, "Holy shit!" Yes, because I want to kill Ganon with a Deku stick. That's just hilarious. But oh! If you haven't seen it, I will send you the YouTube video, Tanya. It's hilarious how you basically can just glitch right from the Deku tree to Ganon.
I need to see that. I haven't seen that yet.
So I'll send that to you after we're done recording here. But, and then, the context-specific action button. And, this game, this was, we're in that series, that part of Nintendo where Nintendo's like, let's just make a musical instrument the focus and the major plot point of, the next 4 games.
Yep. And because of it, I own an ocarina.
Yes, but do you know how to play it?
I'm learning. YouTube only teaches so fast.
Okay, fair enough. But, you start the game, and you've got, you get this, this little story blurb, and you're introduced to the most annoying character in every video game ever, Navi.
Hey, listen.
Yeah.
Hey, listen.
Hey, listen.
Hey.
I'm gonna spray can you with Raid, and that ends that.
I mean, the thing is the idea behind Navi is that she's meant to be a person that helps you with lock-on targeting, and she's also the one that helps you with story quests, and if you get stuck in an area, then the game gives you a hint through Navi. The problem is after a certain point, when you unlock most of the story and you unlock most of the world, she's just literally just pinging you, just going why aren't you going through the story? Why aren't you going through the story? Why aren't you going through the story?
Yeah, why are you fucking about? Why aren't you going through the story? Hey, and I'm gonna shoot you.
Maybe
I remember I tried to kill her a few times. I couldn't do it, though, of course.
Maybe she thinks if she's not helpful, you'll put her in a bottle like all her friends.
to be resurrected upon death. So, all the Kokiri children have fairies, and, the Great Deku Tree hands out the fairies, do you qualify for one? Yes, here you go. Link starts off, he's having terrible nightmares. The boy really needs to get some rest. He's stressed out. Foreshadowing! And, he's always made fun of by the other children, and he never quite fits in. And I'm like, oh, every single grade school ever.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so... the Great Deku Tree summons Link, and so you have to go to the Deku Tree, but I think before you do that, Link has to actually you have to find some wooden sword, and you have to find a shield, and there's this one asshole who's blocking the entrance to where the Deku Tree is.
And you gotta bribe him to get out of the way, if memory serves.
That might be Majora's Mask. I can't recall.
I can't remember either, but I remember you did something to get him out of the way, and it's just really? I gotta do this stupid thing to you? It's just meant to teach you this very basic game mechanic?
I think he gets out of the way after you do the first dungeon, because he's like, oh, apparently you're allowed to leave. Goodbye. I think he just steps out of the way.
You are the weakest Link. Goodbye. And so, first dungeon, which is really just to test, it's basically a tutorial for the controls, and it gives you a lot of different ways to approach the game. You can climb stuff, you have items which you can, which function, have more than one use, like the Deku Stick, for example. Not only can it be used as a crap weapon, but you can also light it on fire. Which becomes much more important later on in Breath of the Wild when everything is flammable.
And everything's breakable.
Everything's breakable.
Everything will break.
Like, Link is the most flammable substance known to man.
You also get the slingshot from the tree, which is your first introduction to actual Z targeting.
Yep.
So,
but again, you only have a finite amount of ammo with the Deku nuts.
yeah, which like you're literally shooting walnuts at a thing and watching it die. That's basically what's happening here.
But you do have a lot of entertainment later on with mini games because of that slingshot, so it's worth it.
Yes.
I wouldn't call it entertainment, but
I sunk so many hours into those games.
Were you trying to get like 100% completion for this game?
I couldn't leave anything not done ever.
I'll take that as a yes.
Yes. Did you ever play the Master Quest version of this game
No,
when it came out on
never
GameCube?
did. What was that like?
Well, it's on GameCube and it's on the 3DS version. But like the first time I played the first level on that one, I'm like, oh, this is an easy level. I don't have to pay attention. And I realized, wait, they actually made this harder, like noticeably harder. And the very first level, like when I died in the first level, I was like, I need to pay attention this time. This is not easy anymore. Because they actually add a whole lot of stuff in the Master Quest version.
Yeah, from what I remember about it from friends playing it, it's like, oh, this isn't your father's Ocarina of Time.
That is true. Yep.
well, if the memory serves, the changes made to Master Quest were to rebalance certain things in terms of how the game progressed. It was also meant to be more of a challenge for people who are seasoned veterans of Ocarina of Time at this point in time. So they wanted to be like, okay, if you guys wanted to have like a bit of an actual challenge and not just like play this game through for the 100th time and just like go through the game with your eyes closed, here's some new mechanics that you guys have to pay attention to. Didn't really fix a whole lot of the bugs, and memory serves even introduced one or two more.
No, it didn't really fix it, and it made it that if you get really annoyed about like how Twilight Princess made him right-handed, the game did the exact same thing. Like basically what they did in Twilight Princess with Link is what they made Link into in the Master's Quest with the mirroring stuff. Yeah, it worked though. The game was fun. It added a lot more challenge to it, and it made one certain temple a lot harder, which was not fun. Water temple.
Yeah, that. Oh. What I remember most about this first dungeon, you're inside the Deku tree, and you get you're introduced to the gold Skulltula, which is like, ooh, collectible thing, and winds up being like a very important thing because I think if you collect enough of them, that's the way you increase your wallet because you can only carry a finite amount of rupees.
Yep.
I believe you need like 2/3 of them to eventually get the big wallet, which will let you carry 999 rupees.
Which is imperative.
Yes. But so, and also, it kept also, a lot of the things like in older Zelda games, like you need to, like the map and the compass were separate items. Like, great, I got a map, but I don't know where the fuck I am. Oh, the compass. Oh, there it is. Yay, good, great.
Yeah. One more thing about the gold sculptures, so they also give you a way to have unlimited rupees, because if you get 100 of them, all 100, every time you go to the guy for rewards, he'll automatically give you a huge rupee worth 200. Like, so every time you visit him, he'll give you another one. So there's a way to keep up your, income when you start running low and don't want to cut grass.
To be fair, if you could get 100 of those things, you probably are close to completing the game anyway, so money isn't really a problem.
But it's fun.
So Hyrule has no sense of inflation at all. It just magically reproduces rupees every single time.
Especially while burning, because by then it's like, all on fire, so it's okay.
You're good.
Well, I'm sorry, guys. I hate to do this to you guys so early in, but apparently I have staff that are pretty desperate to get a hold of me right now, and they have issues I got to deal with, so I'm very sorry about this. I got a jet.
Alrighty. I'm sorry to hear that, but thank you for being on for at least 10 minutes.
I know, right? This is all I get nowadays.
That's our token Tanya appearance. So sorry to see you go, but address what you need to address, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, awesome, guys. Have a great podcast. Okay.
All right.
See you later.
Bye-bye. And then there were 3. So after you beat the boss of the Deku Tree, and you find out, this Goma thing was living inside of it, like, ew. And ew.
Giant centipede or something?
Spider thing.
Spider leaf thing. Whatever.
Spider.
You find out that, all your work was for nothing because the Deku Tree is dying. Like, really? Thanks a lot.
You just basically slowed it down.
You basically improved its life for 5 minutes, just long enough for it to just exposition dump at you, and then die. It's like a Shakespearean death. It's like, I have to tell you, like, you defeated the boss. Thank you for prolonging my life just enough for me to just hurl all this plot at you. And now I'm dead.
Hurl plot at you, and then you go out, get a nice ocarina from your friend, who you're gonna, get rid of the ocarina anyway later, because it doesn't mean anything. Just dump it later. Then you meet your freaky owl, who
Yes.
also is gonna dump more on you.
You're now. It's like, okay, you've been tasked to find the 3 spiritual stones, and you have to go meet with Princess Zelda. All right, fine. So you're allowed to leave the forest, and now you get to Hyrule Field for the first time, and then you get to meet Mr. Owl, who tells you that it takes 3 licks to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. Wrong owl, I know.
Yeah, wrong owl.
Wrong owl. No, it's Kepora Gebora, who then, again, exposition. And it's like,
Don't worry.
It's like, I just want to explore, because Hyrule Field, first time you see this, and when you're a 13-year-old boy getting here for the first time, and you just see this wide open expanse, it's like, holy shit.
And then you explore it, and it hits night for the first time. You're like, wait, what's going on? Why are there so many guys popping up out of the ground?
That was...
Also, too, that we did gloss over a relatively major story element. Link's not a Kokiri kid. He's not a forest kid.
Oh, that's true.
Does that get mentioned in that first start of the game, or is that later on?
That's why you can leave, because the tree tells you, no, you're not a Kokiri, you're Hylian. You came here because your mother brought you here for your protection.
Oh, that's right. I remember now. Yes.
Because something was happening outside, and she decided that going to the freaky forest with the fairies was going to be safer than having you stay in the rest of Hyrule when weird things are going on and some mysterious force is trying to rear its ugly head.
Yes, the wicked man dressed in black. Ooh. The one that says, I'm not evil. That's right. I remember that now. Alright, so fine. It's like, you're not who you thought you were. Shock! And then you get to explore. And yeah, was this the first Zelda game with the day-night mechanic?
I think so, because they had it in Ages and Seasons, right?
Day-night specifically, I think, is Ocarina of Time. There was no day-night well, no, I'm sorry. No, Zelda 2 had no, wait, that might have been Dark Caves. It might be Ocarina of Time that has day-night cycle.
Lord Google, what do you say?
Well, because it's...
I want to say it is, because Zelda 2 didn't Maybe Zelda 2? If it was any of them, it probably would have been Zelda 2. Because it definitely wasn't Link to the Past. It definitely wasn't Zelda 1. And there wasn't Day-Night in Link's Awakening.
Well, while you look that up, yeah, it's like Day-Night. You have the Day-Night cycle in Ocarina of Time. So if you do not get to where you need to go, yep, it becomes night, and suddenly you have all these new enemies that pop out of the ground. You have Pose and it's like, what are all these ghost things? And what the hell? And these sculptures, and we need to run, scurry, flee.
It says here that Ocarina of Time is what Lord Google says, so...
Okay. Very good.
And don't you learn your first Ocarina song right on that bridge, too, with Sarai? With the forest?
Yeah, he did your first song, which was originally just going to be used to... what does that damn song teach you? Is it just meant to be like you can talk to her, I think?
So you get... It's Saria's song.
Yeah.
And
like she's meant to be like a hint machine for you, I think?
Saria's song. Hold on.
I mean, that's the first use for it. There's a later use for it, but...
Yeah, it's... Saria teaches the song. It allows you to communicate with Saria at any time. And later on you can play that for Darunia, and you get the Goron's bracelet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it helps you through, like, the Secret Meadow stuff, get through the maze. So yeah. That song.
Yeah, there's like three uses. Like, those are the three main uses for it. It's just like talk to her, get the bracelet, and then navigate the maze.
Navigate the maze, and also if you played for the Skull Kid in the Lost Woods, you get a piece of heart.
Yes.
Because the pieces of heart, are all hidden all over the place, and 4 of those gets you an extra heart. You don't buy them the way you do in Breath of the Wild.
I love the joke where they, one of the comics where they has him getting a piece of heart and he's like eating the heart to get more hearts, to get more life.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how else are you supposed to do that?
This is also one of the games where, like, the popular trope of let's go into houses and smash everything to get rupees came from, though.
Yeah.
Yes, it did. That's where we find out that everything is breakable, and people don't mind. People don't mind you going and smashing their pottery. Like, oh, that's okay.
I blame the freakiness going on through the rest of the world that makes them like oblivious to all this shit. Because let's be honest, if any sane person looked outside and saw that at night, if they left their houses or they left their village, they'd get mauled by a bunch of skeletons. We'd be freaking out. But everyone's just like, yeah, it's part of the course, unless you're one of the special people, in which you go, yeah, we know things are messed up. We kind of can't do anything about it right now, though, because we're not the hero.
Well, it's like the only things that stand up for themselves are the cuckoos. You hit them, and then they attack you, but you just had an army of cuckoos defending themselves at night.
I mean, have you seen those birds?
They're vicious.
They're lethal.
Yeah.
Just train them and unleash them on the field at night and see what happens.
It just, the only other thing I could think of is just, if when Link is a child, he's in the first part of the game as a kid. The only other thing is oh, he's just a kid. Boys will be boys, just running in, smashing property. Everyone's so chill. Just
yeah. Then we get to when he's adult Link, and literally everyone else is dead.
Yeah.
Even better. So you go across Hyrule Field, and you get to Hyrule Castle Town. And it's a party, seemingly. Like, there are shops, it's like a bazaar, Incidental music brought to you by Jeremiah, and,
Watch I get claimed.
Oh, no.
Yeah, just watch YouTube's content ID flag it. It's like, be careful, you might get a cease and desist. Hell, this whole podcast might end up getting a cease and desist, so it's like...
Yeah.
But you get to the castle... yep.
I was going to say, then you have to break into Hyrule Castle by playing hide-and-go-seek with the guards.
Okay, just right here.
Stealth section.
A lot of people think that the water temple was the most annoying part of the game. I disagree. I think this was the most annoying part of the game. This section where it basically becomes Metal Gear Solid.
Alright, here's the problem. Here's the problem, though, Brian. If you get caught, you just get kicked out. It's not like in the Water Temple where if you mess up, you lose your freaking progress and have to start over from the very beginning of the game.
See, that's just a horrible bug, which luckily that never happened. I never got to experience the joy that was a total game reset because of the Water Temple.
I experienced a partial game reset because I had made 2 saves, where one was before I entered the Water Temple, and then I had the save in the Water Temple, and then I eventually had that bug happen to me. But thankfully, I still had my backup saves, so I only lost like an hour of progress compared to 15 hours of progress.
And that's fine. So if you are, I had a glitchless run through my first time playing. So for me, this section of the game was the most frustrating because as much as I love Metal Gear Solid, I suck at stealth games. I am much, when I play a game, I just like to brute force my way through everything.
And we do that in Zelda.
And
was this out before the original Metal Gear Solid, or about the same time?
I mean, stealth sections in games have always existed. In terms of before, I think Metal Gear Solid was after this.
Metal Gear Solid came out 2 months before.
But Metal Gear 1 and 2 were already out long before then.
Oh, yes.
They were all stealth.
Yes, those are definitely way out.
But this was the most annoying part of the game for me right here. Just trying to get past the guards. Because, I mean, when I play it now, I have no problem. But the first time I did this, I was just like, oh my god, just let me... I've got a Deku nut here. I know how to use it.
Little did you know that the next game, they're going to double down on that.
Basically.
But then you hit Zelda, and she gives you another data dump. You get a lot of data dumps early on in this game.
Well, hang on. Right. Let's also keep in mind, too, that this is your first time seeing Ganondorf, and he sees you for all of half a second. You just basically piss your pants in fear and run away.
Yeah. And you learn he's a Gerudo. He's from the desert. Which I don't think was known before, right? Like, they hadn't developed Ganondorf or Ganon lore before. It was just, he's Ganon, you fight him. Now they have, developed, different parts of the world.
Yeah, but even that gets a little contentious in the later series.
It does, but, I mean, Jeremiah does have a point. Like, up until this point, Ganon/Ganondorf was just the big bad. He didn't really have any sort of backstory or even character background. He was just evil.
To be fair, usually whenever you're fighting him too, he's also a giant pig. So this is the first time I'm seeing his human form.
Bacon for everybody. But yes, this is the first time. He's not. It's Ganondorf. He's got the Dorf at the end of the name there. It's just, and of course, the Man in Black. Ooh. And, Zelda really, does not shy away from the, I think he's evil, bit of dialogue.
No, she does not.
And he wants to subjugate the world, and, but, Zelda tells you that, she's getting some really bad juju off of this guy. Go find the other 2 spiritual stones, so that he can't get into the sacred realm. All right.
Which is weird. Why are you getting the spiritual stones to open the? Never mind.
Stop thinking logically.
I will say though, the 3rd stone inside the fish is probably one of my favorite levels in the entire game. It's just something I never thought you'd ever have. Back then, it blew my mind. You're inside a fish, and the way the puzzles worked, it was just one of the places I just absolutely loved to play when I played this the very, very first time.
Yeah, and you could do these in either order. You could go to Zora's Domain or Death Mountain, whatever order. And
I mean, the game hints you should go to the mountain first, right? Am I mistaken in that?
Yes. That was the manual says to go to the mountain first, but
the manual.
Back when they reliably had them all for every game, and you actually bought them.
Yeah, they were actually useful and not just like 2 pieces of paper that just contained like copyright notices and stuff in them.
And a link to Wiki.
Yeah.
I really loved the Death Mountain area because the Gorons are so chill, and I love the music. I absolutely love the music for Goron City.
There's just a lot of fun with the Goron stuff, with all the random rolling and the little games you could do. Gorons were a lot of fun, but one reason I like the Zora side more is because probably one of the most joked about characters in this game, just people like characters like Ruto and so on were just so weirdly quirky fun.
Oh, Jesus, Ruto, God, Princess Ruta, or whatever her name is.
And 1,000 fanfics later.
No shit. Jesus, so Mary and Joseph. Also keep in mind too that you're 12, she's also 12. Like, hey, there's such a thing as called statutory rape.
Yeah,
you're a human. It's okay.
Keep in mind, this is a game made in a country that brings us tentacle porn. So,
yeah, again,
remember, it's the thing we always say on downloadable content. It's Japan.
Yeah, but still, come on. Like, I know it's just.
But I wonder though.
It knows no bounds.
When the first time you played this, once you got all the stones and you went to the temple, were you expecting the kind of twist that they did then to happen, or were you expecting? Did you think you were nearly done?
Well,
I mean, knowing Zelda games in the past, you know that getting the Master Sword is not just the very end of the game. It's usually when you start showing that like you're enough of a badass to actually start doing the actual content of the game.
Okay, so as I said in the intro, this was my first proper Zelda game. This was the game that got me in, and not really having played many long video games, I legitimately thought that I was near the end of the game. And boy, was I wrong!
Yeah.
That was the prologue.
Boy, I was so wrong!
That's not even the prologue. That's like the prologue to the prologue.
Because 13-year-old me, the Dodongo's cavern and inside Jabu Jabu's belly, those, to somebody who was never exposed to Zelda really up until this point, those were challenging dungeons. I was not used to this. I had no idea of the Zelda backstory and tropes and anything up to this point. So, I get the 3 spiritual stones, and I'm like, oh, this game's almost over. I'm having a blast. But, yeah, I was dead wrong. Absolutely dead wrong.
And then it jumps from a good game to a great game. Jumping it 7 years into the future. Is this the first time in a Zelda game where they had time travel? I want to say it is.
Yes, it is. And also, because of the time travel elements, this is probably the most pivotal game in the series chronology. Because at this point, the game can break into 3 possible timelines.
Oh, good grief. Yeah, there is. Because Majora's Mask is one of them. Twilight Princess is another, right? And then Wind Waker is the other?
Yes.
Wind Waker, Phantom, whatever those ones are.
Memory serves, how they have said the quote-unquote official timeline is timeline 1 is with breaking out of Ocarina of Time, Link disappears, Ganon shows up, the king floods the world, Wind Waker happens. Number 2, you fix the time. You as adult Link go into the future and fix things, and go back to living the rest of your days as normal Link, timeline eventually becomes Twilight Princess. Number 3 is Majora's Mask happens, you don't show up, and then
So I brought up my Hyrule Historia.
Yeah, you're almost right, Ron.
Almost right, yeah. So it's like if he defeats Ganon as a child, it's Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, Four Swords Adventures. If Link defeats Ganon with an adult, it's Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks. Link fails to defeat Ganon, Link to the Past, Oracle's Awakening, Legend of Zelda 2, and then Four Swords, Minish Cap, and Skyward Sword come before this, and I don't remember where Breath of the Wild fits. So.
Breath of the Wild comes after all of that.
Okay. Does it combine the timelines?
I think Breath of the Wild I think Breath of the Wild eventually converges them all, because it's meant to be like, no matter what, we've run into Ganon enough times where people try and actually preemptively prepare for his arrival. So that way, when he does show up, it's not just Link, just all reliant on one guy to deal with his massive evil. That we now have like backup systems in place. But we saw what happens with that. So
Yeah.
So that's where Ocarina of Time. That's what happens in the chronology. So you have either Link fails, and you have the whole decline of Hyrule games. He's successful, and depending on whether he's an adult or a kid, you either have the Twilight Realm or the New World timeline with Wind Waker and so on. So, very important game in the chronology of the series, but back to Ocarina of Time.
yeah.
Because we could go all over the place here, and like I said, I really loved Goron City and Dodongo's Cavern. Jeremiah, you really enjoyed Inside Jabu Jabu's Belly. So, what was it about that particular level that made it memorable for you? Because for me, again, it's Dodongo's Cavern and Goron City that sticks out more in this early part of the game.
For me, Jabu Jabu Belly was just like I never saw a level like that before, ever. Like that, we'd seen volcano stuff before, but like you're inside a fish. And you're fighting, like, his intestines in acid bubbles, and you're hitting his, like, uvula, and just... it's just weird little things, and then you spend half the time carrying Ruto around. It was the first time I saw that type of mission, and then, of course, after that, I learned to hate those missions, but it was the very first time you got that type of thing. It was all new to me.
Also keep in mind, too, that...
and a boomerang. Boomerang was in there, too.
The interior is very unique compared to most of the other... games was at that point in time. I mean, like, you've been in castles, you've been in dungeons, you've been in, like, trees and whatnot. Being inside a fish and seeing the inside of a fish's organs is pretty interesting, even for a Zelda game at the time.
And sinking through random orifices inside his body?
What was the boss in that thing? Like, some sort of, like, parasite?
Yep, Baronade.
Yeah, Baronade. He's the one that caused all the pain inside, and he's what did they call him? He's a gastrointestinal. He causes he's a parasitic organism. Baronade, and it causes gastrointestinal distress.
Yeah. So you're literally just getting rid of the worms.
Crone's the boss. It's
and that's a very special boss for you, Brian.
But the boomerang was also a really fun thing that you get inside there, so it was just fun.
Yeah, it was. And it also has one of the weirdest enemies. There are two enemies in Ocarina of Time that just, even to this day, it's just like, the likes. And the Wall Masters in the Forest Temple. Which, to this day, it's just like, but... Yes, I will agree with both of you that up until this point, especially if you've been playing Zelda, the previous 4 Zelda games, a dungeon's a dungeon. But yeah, this is probably the first where it takes place inside a living organism and with looks to match. So
yeah.
So you get the 3 spiritual stones, and you're like, yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna go back to Zelda. I've done it. I've got the things. Until
I have screwed over the world. crap.
All according to Keikaku, which is Ganondorf's plan.
So basically, you're at this scene in front of Hyrule Castle where Zelda and Impa are running. They're fleeing from Ganondorf because he's launched an attack on the castle. Zelda strategically throws another ocarina at you. And you get the Ocarina of Time so that you can enter the Temple of Time and the Sacred Realm. So you do that, you've got the spiritual stones, and you find out that, you basically did Ganondorf's work for him.
Didn't you also meet Impa there for the first time, too?
She shows up briefly when you meet Zelda for the first time, I believe.
Yes.
And then Zelda's riding with Impa outside of the city when you get there.
Yep.
Yeah. And if memory serves, it gets revealed that the things that were causing all the problems in the Deku Tree and in the mountain and in the fish, those three things were Ganondorf's lackeys, and he just was putting them there just to weaken the thing's defenses.
Yep.
And that he just all right, well, you did the work for me. That works too. Fantastic. I'm gonna get the Triforce now. Have fun.
Yep. Link gets the Master Sword, and you enter the Sacred Realm, and Ganondorf just steps in right behind you. Really? When you're 13, you're just God damn it! But now it's really? All Ganondorf really just did was, oh yeah, you did all my work, thank you, and I'm just gonna
steal the credit for it now. Yoink! You only get ultimate power, and everything's all hunky dory. By that I mean everything's now Palace, Cinder, and Ash.
Yep. So by the time you regain yourself, you're older.
Quote yourself.
Instant puberty.
Not even puberty. You're an adult. You jump from 12 to 19. That's technically skipping all of puberty.
Yeah. Link looks at himself and realizes, oh, that organ got bigger, and what the hell is this? Although, it's Japan, so facial hair isn't a thing. It's everyone's clean shaven. But yeah, you jumped ahead 7 years, and you are awakened by an old man. Hello, Rauru.
Yeah, and this is the person who begins probably the last major plot dump exposition on you. Is we kind of screwed up, so we need you to go fix our problem. It's not just me. You guys will have to go find 7 other people, or 6 other people, and I need you to go defeat Ganon because you're the only one that can do that, and because you have the Master Sword.
And defeat all these sages because you need all their power, or help all these sages so you can get all their power because we're all separated for some reason.
Yes.
So you get the light medallion, and after this expo dump, back to the Temple of Time you go, where you meet a mysterious character by the name of Sheik.
Introduce more fan fiction.
No fucking shit. Jesus.
So much fan fiction.
Yeah. No God. But then she's basically trying to. Sheik's basically trying to warn you and things are different now compared to when you first left. It's how bad could a thing has gotten in 7 years? Step outside, fire's on, the sky's on fire, all the buildings are rubble, there's a giant wall of fire around Hyrule Castle, and it's just oh, that bad, huh?
Well, crap.
Yeah, Ganondorf and Kefka have been talking to each other.
Yeah.
That's where you go, can I nap for 7 more years? Maybe it'll get better.
Yeah, when you get unlimited power, then you can definitely break that interdimensional boundary between universes.
Yeah. You find out what's happened in the 7 years, and you step outside, and suddenly it's that dog from the This Is Fine comic. It's this is fine. This is fine. But, really, if your ultimate goal, you gain unlimited power, and this is what you do with it? Really? Just, whatever.
Listen, the petty desires of men are not to be understood.
You know, that very profound coming from you. I like that. But
I mean, let's also be honest here. This is Ganon. He usually is the one that fucks things up anyway, so that's par for the course.
so you go through and you find now you go through all the different dungeons, which are all very unique and all very cool. You know,
Yeah.
like they're all memorable in their own way. You learn songs on your ocarina.
I mean, I don't know. The very, very first one I thought was kind of meh.
But the boss was pretty cool. The forest one. You're talking about Forest Temple, right?
Yes, I'm talking about Forest Temple.
The mirrored Ganon that comes through. Like, that was a fun boss fight, though.
I mean, the boss fight's fun, but it's just like, why am I back in the forest again?
Because every friend and person you met as a child is now a sage.
Yeah, they're still look like they're 10 years old.
Also,
All of them. They're all sage.
Also, hookshot.
Yeah, hookshot too.
But again, I mentioned the Wall Masters. You know, this is another one of the, you know, it's an enemy that, it's like, I've played survival horror games and Wall Masters creep me the fuck out. Because,
I don't know what they look like.
well, you're...
The hands. They drop down from the ceiling, you see a shadow, and they go...
Oh, those things. Okay, yeah, they're... I mean, again, my first Zelda game was Link to the Past, so I'm familiar with those assholes.
Well, it's like,
I think I was more scared of them, though, in the Shadow Temple, because you couldn't see Jack anyway without a lens, and then there's these things dropping from the ceiling that you can't see.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, and it was just like you see this shadow forming as you're walking, and just like, what's that? What the fuck's that? And it's like, if you don't dodge at the exact right moment, you get grabbed, and I think it's back to the start of the temple.
It's either start of the room with everything reset, or start of the temple with everything reset. In the original Zeldas, it was back to the start of the temple with everything reset.
So it's just like, you shithead.
Yeah.
And, you know, you get the Forest Temple, so, you know, you gain the hook shot, then you go into...
No, bow and arrow. Bow and arrow is Forest Temple. Hookshot's
Yes.
Hookshot's number 2. That's
That's the volcano?
No, Volcano's the hammer?
Yes, because you do play whack-a-mole with...
Hookshot's
Dragon.
Water Temple, as it's always been. Jesus Christ. This Water Temple is the hookshot in Link to the Past, and it's also in Water Temple, because you use hookshot to maneuver through the water quickly.
What about... There's a villain that I remember was freakier than the Wall Masters. They pop up out of the ground, and they have like all those like freaky hands or limbs that pop up, and you have to cut them down, and then like pop up and try to like eat your face. But you have to like cut off all their limbs first before the head will come up. You're using graveyards.
Yeah, that sounds like the graveyard. That might be Shadow Temple.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Didn't you need the hook shot to get into the Forest Temple?
No.
No, you used the hook shot to get a bonus when you went back to that area to get extra heart pieces.
Yeah, there was a couple areas in the Forest Temple that required the hookshot to get to, but they weren't required to beat.
Yeah, they were like
Okay.
for extra bonuses, heart pieces, and maybe I think a gold skull.
Yeah, and then I know you had to have the bow and arrow in the Forest Temple because you need to shoot Mirror Ganon off the horse.
Yes. I just seem to remember that you needed the hook shot to get into the Forest Temple. I thought Sheik told you that you needed to go to the graveyard in Kakariko Village.
No, that's for the hover boots, isn't it? Isn't the hover boots in the graveyard in Kakariko Village?
Let me find out, because
Yeah,
I
alright.
think the hover boot sounds right.
Lord Google, go ahead. You do the thing. I could have sworn you needed to find the hook shot to get into the Forest Temple, but we'll let Jeremiah sort that out. We'll let him do research there.
Hook shot is in the graveyard because you have to race the gravedigger for it.
Then what? Then where's the flying boots? Is that
And
just?
a Hylian shield is in there too, if you didn't already have it. as well as fairy fountains where pixelated near boobs happen.
Yeah. Then where's the hover boots? Is that Shadow Temple? Just generic Shadow Temple?
I want to say Shadow Temple, or Spirit Temple, actually. I need to bust out my 3DS again.
It's been a while since I've played it, but...
Shadow Temple is the hover boots.
Okay. Which is also located in the graveyard, right? So I'm not too far off. This is different zones of the graveyard.
Yeah.
But I think, the temples were all fun, but I think that I like the little, mini things in between. Like, the graveyard was fun. The Gerudo Village is awesome.
Don't forget Epona.
Epona.
Shows up here, too. This is the first game with Epona.
Let's race that guy as many times as we can.
Yes, that was probably for me the funniest part of the game, because I forget his name. The guy who's the
guy who owns the Lon Ranch.
Yes.
Before you steal the horse, which eventually somehow makes him lose his ranch somehow.
Doesn't make sense. But you race him, get it. But there's also fishing there. There's what was some of the other ones? Horseback archery was a lot of fun.
No, that's the desert for the.
Oh yeah, the Gerudo. Sorry. Oh yeah, and then my favorite mini game in all of these ever with Bamachu bowling in the Hyrule Market.
Yeah.
Oh, I almost forgot about that.
Bamachu bowling.
So yeah, okay. Lon Ranch. You have Talon, Malon, Ingo, and Epona. So when you're a kid, Malon.
You meet Malon.
You meet Malon. You get introduced to Epona. Pony Epona, and you learn Epona's song.
Yeah. So
when you're an adult, you find out that the ranch has been taken over by Ingo with the help of Ganondorf, because I don't know why Ganondorf would be interested in property, but whatever.
Yeah.
I don't.
Again, unlimited power, chooses to do whatever the fuck he wants with it.
I'm like, what stake do you have in Lon Ranch? What do you get a cut of the milk? I have no idea.
One thing I forgot. Just going back real quickly to the Jabba Jabba Belly thing. I remember as a kid, you go to the Zorg River and there's those 5 frogs you get to play your ocarina for to get extra bonuses, and they create a frog choir. That was so weird that I know it's just the little things that endear me to that that whole area.
You'll just next time you play it, you'll just stay there forever. I don't want to play the rest of the game. I'll just live here. I'll just live here forever. So yes, but the race to gain Epona and keep Epona for the game, you first you have to pay 50 rupees and you can race Ingo.
Yes. Then if you beat him, he just locks you in the ranch.
Yeah. So you have to beat him twice. The first time is for for the chance to keep the horse, and then when he loses the first time, he will challenge you again, this time wagering the horse. So when you beat him the second time, he gives you the horse, but yes, he locks the ranch. You're now his prisoner, but that's horses can jump, you stupid idiot.
Horses can jump. To be fair, I remember having trouble getting out of this. There's some sort of weird flag or trigger on the jumping cutscene that requires a very specific height you have to reach.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a certain pixel.
Yeah, you gotta reach that pixel before you cross the threshold. But it just took forever for me for some reason. I don't know why.
Also, because, again, there's a lot of little things in this game outside of the main quest that just stick with you, as Jeremiah said. When you play the Epona song in front of a cow, the song itself, the cow starts conversing with you. Like, that song just reminds me of the pasture, and it just makes me want to produce a whole lot of milk. And you get a bottle of Lon milk.
Or what about all the
to be fair, that's like 9 heart tanks refilled.
Or what about like all the random people you could like chase the runner down to get a mask and stuff? It's like there's all these little random things. You don't have to do the main story. There's a whole ton of side stuff that are just fun. Or heck, fish until you get that 35-pound Hylian loach, if you can find it. You know, I think that's the biggest one you can get. 35 pounds.
It's just so funny that this cow that you play this song for is just so smitten and just like ooh, makes me want to produce a lot of milk. Meanwhile, if you know anything about basic biology, it's like, but you're not pregnant.
It's like that Family Guy joke when it's like when you milk a cow and the cow's like doing the same type of noises, but when they're milking it.
It's like you play this song and you suddenly artificially inseminate the cow to produce milk. Okay, I'm overthinking this. I think.
So if memory serves, so the intended order was Forest Shrine, Fire Shrine, Water Temple.
Yep. Shadow Temple.
Shadow.
Spirit Temple,
and then you get the Gerudo area, which is...
Gerudo area is before the Spirit Temple, because you have to beat them to get to it.
Right. I can't remember.
Which was a lot of fun. And another sneaky section.
Yeah, they have their weird infatuations with stealth sections.
Yeah, but we will...
But don't forget there's another funny moment, though, when Link finds out that Rudo's the sage of the Water Temple, and she's like, remember, we're engaged, and he's like, oh, crap, boobs. Boobs.
Where are these? Why do you hit...
Where did those come from?
Where do those come from? You're a fish. You don't need them.
And wait, you're dying? You can't... No. We're okay with this for now.
Yeah.
But the Water Temple really isn't that bad. It just takes more time than the other ones because you actually have to think and do puzzles.
Yes, there's a lot of that. Of course you need the iron boots and the blue tunic.
Yep.
That's another thing that I don't think I've ever seen in any other Zelda game since, with exception of Breath of the Wild, where it actually makes sense. Is you need like the different colored tunics to be able to resist, a certain thing. Like you need the iron boots and the blue tunic.
Link to the Past, you have different colored tunics, and that's to signify that you have increased resistance to damage.
Yes, but
you go from green to blue to red.
But I think it's like without the blue tunic, you only have a certain number of minutes underwater.
That's true. Doesn't Link's Awakening have them too? But I think they like change your stats instead, like one's defense, one's attack, or something like that.
I don't think not in Link's Awakening. Maybe in.
So I want to say red doubled your attack and blue doubled your defense.
The thing is it's hard to convey color on a grayscale screen. So
that is a lot of true.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think out of all these ones, the Shadow Temple is the one that always caused me the most stress, just because there's so many things that can fall from the ceiling, and you can't see half the stuff, and you're trying to do puzzles with the lens and without the lens, and it can get really stressful for let's say when I was 11.
Well, yeah. So we have gone an hour at this point, so I am going to cut to break here.
Okay.
So on the second half, we'll talk about the rest of the temples and the final showdown and all the other bits that made this game memorable for us. So we will cut to break. You'll have some music. We'll drink some Lon milk. Whatever. You're listening to our 20th anniversary episode of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Undownloadable content will be back. Welcome back to Downloadable Content, talking about Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, 20th anniversary. We're all still here. We have not regressed 7 years.
Or progressed 7 years.
Or progressed 7 years. It's like, or, you know, we don't know the sun song. We can't change, you know, night into day and day into night. But, yes, you know, not only do you find the hook shot in the graveyard, you also learn the sun song because you find the composer brothers Flat and Sharp.
Yeah.
Oh, but yes, you also learn the Nocturne of Shadow, which gives you access to the Shadow Temple, but we will dive into that in a little bit. The graveyard is like this major place in Ocarina of Time. And again, I haven't played this game in so long, so it's like I forget all these little things. So,
Yeah.
So that we've talked about the Forest Temple and, you know, the Fire Temple, which I remember for two reasons. One, there was an annoying, like, fire a wall maze. And also for the boss battle of the dragon.
Yes. The whack-a-mole battle.
Yeah.
Always forever the whack-a-mole battle.
Because you gain the hammer, the Megaton hammer in that temple. And yes, it's whack-a-mole.
And then you never use it again.
I mean, you can. I mean, it is an equipable weapon.
But no. There is one thing we forgot, though, that I just realized. What about the Scarecrow song that remembers it from when... Because don't you teach him when you're a kid, and then in the future he remembers you because you make up whatever song you want to do, and that makes it a lot helpful when you have a hook shot and long shot and everything else in the future. Because isn't that one thing we missed as a kid? Or am I forgetting? Was he just an adult? Bunaru?
I don't remember that at all, but...
It's a Scarecrow that you have to play an 8-note song. You can create whatever song you want. And then whenever you play that song, he'll come to you, and then you can also use him to summon like other Scarecrows to add for extra hookshot or long shot targets.
Okay.
I just did, you know,
I'll take your word.
high.
I'll take your word for it.
Am I imagining this, Ron? Or did he disappear?
I'm muted, sorry. I was going to say, that might be a Master Quest thing.
It was definitely on the N64. It's Bonaru. It's a Scarecrow, and he's by the lake, like Hylia.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the song doesn't exist. I know the song exists. I'm just saying that I think the thing proper to get the hook shots for it. I could have sworn that was a
addition
Master Quest thing. Yeah,
could have been. I played both enough that
I know the song is. I know the song's in there in terms of like you can make the song up, but I don't think it gave any sort of like hookshot benefit.
Okay. I just know he had Scarecrow friends that could be used in other parts of the game. But that was always a fun little thing, especially if you created a song you couldn't remember.
Yes. But so a lot of what, you know, the things that happen in Ocarina of Time, like after you completed each temple, there was shit that you needed to do to be able to access the next temple, in addition to like learning a specific song, like the water temple, which we're about to dive into. You know, which is, obviously the most notorious of the dungeons. It might be the most notorious dungeon in the entire Zelda canon.
And then you go back to it in future games. Aha, surprise.
Yeah, plot twist! But it's like, no, you needed to go to the ice cavern to get the iron boots. You can't get to it unless you've had the hook shot. You need the blue tunic, the Zora tunic as they call it, so that you can breathe underwater. Although, if you're good, you can go through the water temple without it.
No thank you.
Yeah, and it's just like, even though I did not experience the glitch, the infamous glitch, the thing that I remember most about the water temple is the battle with Dark Link.
Yes, and that's something that would live on for future games as well. It was a lot of fun, actually. Once you figured out how to beat him, though, because he'd copy you.
That is the thing I remember most about the water temple, was the battle with Dark Link, and yeah, it's... Then you get the long shot.
Which would save your butt in the future.
But, this was one of those things where I don't think Nintendo completely thought their design choices through, because, when you have to go into the menu to constantly equip and re-equip the iron boots, so it was a lot of pausing to go into the menu. And I was like, who thought that was a good gameplay design? I think they fixed that in later versions of the game, though.
Yeah, they did. They did. It's much easier on the 3DS to switch around. Some of that's just the controller being easier. But there's, when you talk about all these things you have to do in between temples and so on, this game probably has one of the most infamous fetch quests, so to speak, to get an item that is very useful because it won't break. But as a kid, it seemed to take forever to do it when you had to get the big Goron sword to replace your giant's broken knife. And you have to do like 20 things to get it in a row.
See, this is why I'm not a completionist.
Because you have to do a trade for, I know there's an egg you have to trade. You have to do masks. You have to hunt down Granny. You have to do medicine. You have to do something with a poacher. You have to go to Death Mountain. You have to go to Zora's domain. You had to go everywhere and then play a song, and eventually you'd get the big Goron sword, which is like the giant's knife. It's the same stats, but it doesn't break, which I used a lot more, especially at the end. Big Goron sword, but as a kid, that took a lot of time to do it. Nowadays, it's not really that long. It takes maybe an hour, which is like a random MMO quest, but it sure seemed like a long time as a kid to get all those steps done just to get a non-broken sword.
I mean, to be fair, the Goron's sword does do the most damage in the game, I think, outside of light arrows, but that's very restricted for normal runs.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to do a speed run, which you'll talk about in the future. Don't do it for a speed run; it won't help you. But there's just a lot of cool little things like that. And then Shadow Temple is inside the graveyard, freaky place. You get the Lens of Truth, I think it's called.
Yes.
Lens of Truth, where you can see things, and then did anyone else after you got the Lens of Truth just go through all of Hyrule and try to figure out what else you can see with it?
I did that for a little bit, I remember. It's just like, ooh,
shiny. Ooh, what's over there? Oh, gold. I just went around everywhere with that stupid lens. Just like you'd go around and try to blow up every rock you can find to see what little shinies you find underneath it. When you get the bombs, you just start blowing up all the rocks.
Yes.
Which helped train me when I did Twilight Princess, because I'm like, I'm going to blow up all these rocks. Clearly, there's shinies there. All the rocks. So, it trained me well.
Well, yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing that'll happen, so... Also, you have other memorable characters. You have, Nabooru, as you're going to the Spirit Temple.
Yep.
Who obviously the leader of the Gerudo, since Ganondorf is being Ganondorf, doing Ganondorf things. And, the desert, again, you have to navigate the desert before you even get to the temple. And, of course, Gerudo Desert has probably some of my favorite music in the entire Zelda series.
Here, here. Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
And so, and you find out that, that a couple of other characters are also sages, like Impa.
Yep.
And, once you finally get all these you get all these medallions, you return to the Temple of Time, and you encounter Sheik again. Now, Sheik, has been all the while just dropping little hints to try to help you out, etc. And
playing little harp at the same time.
Yep.
Teaching a couple songs, too.
Yep.
Yep. Jam sessions. That's what Sheik's there for, jam sessions.
Yep. Expo Dump, which deals this time with the Legend of the Triforce. And in which you find out that if you try to take the Triforce, if you are a person who is of a balanced, if you are a balanced soul, so if the forces of power, wisdom, and courage are all in balance, you will gain the Triforce intact. But if you are not in balance, the Triforce splits into 3. So Ganondorf, just being a power-hungry asshole, he gets the Triforce of Power, and Zelda has the Triforce of Wisdom. And
yeah, but where is Zelda?
Yeah, you haven't seen Zelda this entire time. You just had Sheik helping you along. It's like, where has Zelda gone these last 7 years?
Mm-hmm.
And so more story, more plot, and then, during this data dump, Sheik reveals himself to be Zelda. The 7th and final sage, who has the Triforce of Wisdom. Link has the Triforce of Courage, and it is, Zelda tells Link that, she thought that giving him the Ocarina of Time would be the best way to keep the Triforce out of Ganondorf's grasp. However, she did not foresee that Ganondorf would just step right in behind Link. And,
you open a door, the door's open for everyone, so...
So, yes, but, Zelda was a child, so complex planning probably not her strong suit at that point. She did the best she could at, age 12 or whatever. So, and of course, because now you have this big plot reveal, like, Sheik and Zelda, another 3 million fanfics. Because Rule 34, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently Ganondorf has been waiting for this exact moment when Zelda would reveal herself, because suddenly she's imprisoned in this large magic crystal and takes him to his own fortress.
Gee, where have we seen this before?
Basically. Jinkies!
Like, literally every Zelda game invariably involves you having to rescue Zelda from Ganon by going to the castle.
Nearby, in another castle, Peach.
Yeah.
So, Link goes to Ganondorf's fortress. Alright. He's got the medallions, the barrier around the fortress breaks, and now we have, the final dungeon, which is the castle. It's a long dungeon.
Like 2 hours? On a normal playthrough, I think?
It's long. Because it's obvious, multiple floors, etc., etc. So, you go through all of that, you have the final confrontation, and Ganon finally, you have the Master Sword, the magical crystal from Final Fantasy that is imprisoning Zelda breaks, and then you fight Ganondorf, and it's the first part of this battle is like the Phantom Ganon in the Forest Temple where you're playing tennis.
Yeah.
So it's like
funny story about the tennis part. Okay, so I played Ocarina of Time a ton, and then Twilight Princess mirrors this a lot, and it took me the first 20, I died several times trying to figure out what the heck is happening. Why can't I beat him? And I realized, oh yeah, they're doing tennis again. Why are they doing tennis again in this game? And so it took me a long time.
Listen, they've got this weird obsession with wanting you to reflect things, not just reflecting with the mirror shield or reflecting with glancing blows. No, you have to play baseball with these projectiles. They're going to do a whole bunch of damage to you if you miss.
Though that is one thing that makes it unique, because other games did not have that. So they were experimenting.
Breath of the Wild takes that to 11.
That is true, but this is the N64 where we had giant-headed people in first-person shooters, and
true.
Blue shells weren't really in this one yet.
But no, not yet. It's just, but yeah, you're playing tennis with them, and it's like, yeah, there goes, 15 love, 30 love, deuce, so that happens, and then you beat him with the help of the light arrows as well, which, again, light arrows, that's a thing that happens in later games as well. Ganondorf is pissed, so he's like, fine, if I'm gonna die, I'm taking you with me. I'm gonna collapse this entire castle on your face.
You now have 6 minutes to flee the castle? 5 minutes?
Yeah, you have some minutes. But you have to be quick.
The entire time you gotta escort Zelda out of there too, because apparently she lost all of her combat capabilities once she put on a dress.
Which makes no sense. Was that hiding underneath her bandages?
10,000 fan fictions. Just don't think about it, or blood will shoot out your nose. So yeah, even when I played this the first time, I thought the same thing, Ron. I'm like, wait a minute. If Zelda was Sheik, first of all, again, you only have a few minutes to get out of the castle. And also, why is Zelda so fucking slow?
Mm-hmm.
You were Sheik, so your level of acrobatics was through the roof. What the hell happened?
I have 2 words for you, Brian. That's the only explanation I can think of. Magical gear.
Magical gear?
And Knights of the Round. It's okay.
Oh, it's just... Zelda was so... here's Link just trying to get the fuck... And Zelda's 5 miles behind him, and it won't let you progress to the next room until Zelda is close enough where the game registers, okay, she's close enough, go ahead.
Yeah, not to mention there has to be a cutscene that plays where she magically forces the thing open.
Yes. And I'm just like, come on, the clock is...
I wonder if they did that just to artificially make the clock scarier.
Probably.
Suddenly, she is skipping everywhere. I mean, at least they weren't trying to lead out Midna or something, who would just be like, la 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 la.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God. Tower collapses. You're still not dead. Ganondorf is pissed, and so he transforms into the giant beastie thing that we all have come to know so well. But,
And apparently you're so shocked by transformation, you lose control of the Master Sword, and it gets knocked out of the ring. Which, there's now a ring? I didn't know we were wrestling. Why is the ring on fire? Why are we hell in the cell?
And in this corner...
And was it just me, or is this fight significantly easier than when you fight Ganondorf? In fact, anytime I fight Ganon, it's always easier. Other than one game, Wind Waker. Wind Waker's the only exception where Ganon is freaky, but it's always harder than fighting Ganondorf. Just hit him in the butt. All the butt.
Yeah. Like, I've seen this battle done where you can beat him with the Megaton Hammer, but I'm just like, no, that's too slow.
Why?
That's too fucking slow. So, you beat him, and as he is getting sealed again in the Sacred Realm, you know, Ganondorf does that thing where he's like, I'll get you next time, Gadget!
And who knows that would literally set up some future games, because they've never done that before, but I guess it really does set up like Twilight Princess.
Because, you know,
if you squint a little bit.
He gets sealed in the Sacred Realm, but he still possesses the Triforce of Power.
You think they try to take that from him, right? Like the sages or something, but no, now it's lost forever.
No, it's gone. It's gone, it's over. So, you know, I'll get you kids next time. I could have controlled everything if it weren't for you meddling kids.
Well, this makes me wonder, though. So that means it is... They're setting up Zelda lore. Does that mean the Triforce is now passed on genetically? From Zelda to Zelda to Zelda to Link to Link to Link?
No, but there's genetic complications in that thing anyway that doesn't involve Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, I don't think really Link, because if that was the case, that would mean Zelda would be inseminated with 2 bits of the Triforce. Whatever.
What if you wanted fish love? You don't know. You have no idea. He is engaged to her, you know. But
you seal him away, and then you and Zelda are left in the Sacred Realm, and she's like, "Well, nice job, but I gotta send you back, and we gotta fix everything we just did. So you need to put the Master Sword back into the pedestal, which will reseal the Sacred Realm, and then you go tell my kid self to go have Ganondorf arrested before he gets all of this power. And we as adults will never see each other again, but maybe we as kids will have a nice life together. And bye-bye."
And then it ends with a party after he goes face-to-face with Zelda, and you go,
mm-hmm.
And it was a fun little romp. You get to see all your friends back. They're all dancing, and it's a good way to end a game. And you get to see all the different places in the world again, which I kind of love. You got to revisit your greatest hits, so to speak. And that world is pretty big. It's not big compared to like Skyrim, but for a Nintendo game as Zelda, it's a pretty big world and there's a lot to explore, lots of cool places to go see. And this is the very first time that I can honestly say I went from liking video games, having fun with them, to absolutely loving one. Both musically, music was a lot of fun. I have the music still today. The soundtrack is still probably one of the best Zelda ones ever done. It's catchy, you remember it. There's just a lot of stuff to do where the world felt big and open, felt like you had control of it, and the story's just fun. And this is the very first time I can honestly say I loved it. I loved the game, and you can tell because I've owned the GameCube version, both of them. I've owned the Virtual Console, and I have it on 3DS, so I've rebought this game repeatedly just because I could.
That party scene in the end credits, it was as if Nintendo basically took the end of Return of the Jedi and just
interspliced it.
Yeah, just
rotoscoped it.
Especially, say, the special edition, which had just come out at that time, version, because you get to see more of the world than just the one party. You get to go back all your other locations, and that's what they did in the special edition. So yeah, makes sense. So good party.
Good party. Everyone's partying. But yes, this game was very critically acclaimed. As I said in the intro, this game is widely considered to be one of the greatest video games ever made. And so, I mean, I guess the question now for us is, all right, it's been 20 years, and, gentlemen, feel free to answer this in however order you see fit. Why is this game memorable to you?
Well, I just want to mention, too, that to go along with critically acclaimed, this is the very first game that Famitsu gave a 40 out of 40 out.
Yep.
Which, for those who are unaware, Famitsu is a game review company. They're kind of like the Japan's version of like Kotaku and Nintendo Power and stuff like that. But they've been around since literally like the 1980s. and they've never given out a 40 out of 40. I think they've had like 39s out of 40s and 38s out of 40s, but until Ocarina of Time, they had never given out a perfect score. And this was the very first one.
And since then, I think 4 other Zelda games have gotten perfect scores.
I think there's like 7 or 8 40 out of 40 games.
Well, I mean, Zelda games themselves, because there's a lot of them. Soul Calibur was the second 40 out of 40 on Dreamcast. But Ocarina got it, Wind Waker got it, Skyward Sword got it, and I believe Breath of the Wild got it.
Yeah, they've got the people that do the Famitsu reviews. They definitely have a hard-on for the Zelda games specifically. They tend to favor those games very highly.
But this one's well-deserving, though. You know, I'll just say this one survived because musically it's probably the strongest score overall, like with the most memorable stuff. It did a lot of things for the first time and did them right. You know, the mini-games are fun. Exploring's fun. The weapons are fun. Characters are fun. And it's just... It's a world that I keep on loving to return to. That's why I've bought 4 copies already of every version possible. So,
I think the main thing with this is compared to this is also like one of the first games that, like I would say, is timeless, and even with the knock of the graphics being like a little slightly against it, just because the graphics in the game aren't bad. They were amazing for the time, but nowadays you could like 480 pixels or 480 polygons, and it's like triangles and some blocky shapes and rather sharp points on human body parts that shouldn't be pointy. But it's still it holds up relatively well. The gameplay is still very sound. The soundtrack is definitely one of the strongest ones in the series, and the fact that like the gameplay mechanics we're describing showed up here and are still basically being used part and parcel 20 years later, like that should just show how well defined they were at the time.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we mentioned that a lot of the gameplay mechanics used in Ocarina of Time are definitely still in some form. Going back to the music, I think the thing that really sticks out for me with the music is how very atmospheric it is. Like, it helps to set the mood, especially in the temples. Like, it doesn't feel like it's just tacked on. Like, I say that for a video game soundtrack to be truly good, you can... It sounds... For a video game soundtrack to be really, really good, it has to sound great when you're not playing the game as well. And I can definitely say that about Ocarina of Time. I can listen to this soundtrack at any point. Like, I don't need the context of actually playing the game. It's a very evocative soundtrack.
Yeah, and it's definitely one of those things where a lot of the music tones from Ocarina of Time you see carry over into later ones. So, like, probably the best example I can think of is when you are playing Breath of the Wild and you start hearing like little hints of Zelda's theme, and you start hearing hints, like subtle hints of the Hyrule Field music being played in the background. It's just like this, like even like you don't even hear all of the notes. You only hear like 2 or 3. Like, you just those 2 or 3 notes, you just recognize them immediately. And there's like the chills start going down your spine. Like, oh crap, things are starting to get real serious now.
And you can tell how timeless it is also because, like, I work in a middle school, and so my ringtone is the Kokiri Forest, and when that goes off, all the kids know it's Zelda, and that song hasn't been used since, but they all know it's Zelda. And Song of Storms has been on my thing for a while too. They also know that's Zelda, and it just shows that these songs have survived through 20 years now, and that it's probably just as classic as, say, nearly classic as the Mario theme from the original Mario Brothers, because people hear it and instantly know it. And I don't think any other Zelda game really has had music that endearing as this one.
graphically, as you mentioned, Ron, I mean, 20 years later, it doesn't, you can obviously tell it was a product of the late 90s. I think that, compared to a game like Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. I mean, listen, like, compared to 7, Ocarina of Time holds up quite a bit better.
Definitely, at least graphically. I mean, I still get enjoyment out of it, and that's also another thing. Here we are 20 years later. If you are still playing this game now and still enjoying it, that's just another testament to its staying power.
Mm-hmm. And to go along with that, there's also the emergence of speedrunning, which has given a bit of an additional credence to the game's longevity, because people started like racing, like, well, I can beat the game in like 6 hours. Well, now I can beat the game in 5 hours, and now it's just like now you start to see some of the flaws come in later, but these would have been things that at the time no one would have really known about, really. So
yes, so definitely the speedrunning community has revived this game more so. Right now, the world record for completion, the any percent speed run is at 17 minutes and 9 seconds.
Yeah.
That's
so. That's pretty fast.
That's by exposing glitches.
Yeah. So, I believe that the quote unquote like more widely recognized one is like any percent with dungeon completions. So you have to beat all the dungeons. I think that's like a 3 to 4 hour speed run.
The 100%. Right now, the time for that is 4 hours, 10 minutes, 43 seconds.
Yeah. So, again, like, they're still abusing bugs, but these are not like, this isn't like beating the game in 17 minutes. This is like getting every single thing in the game.
This is 100% completion.
Yeah.
Whereas the 17-minute thing requires you to pull off a series of major glitches that, again, and I'm going to talk about this in the speed. How the hell do people find these?
Well, part of this is also due to the fact that the majority of these glitches revolve around what was mentioned in the first half, which I brought up, which was the camera glitch. So,
clipping.
Yeah, clipping, and it's a thing where, for those who aren't aware, there's a weird little like rotoscoping trick that they do with the camera to make things appear farther away than they actually are. So one of the most common, like one of the more like I'll say not the most common, but the best example of this is there's a particular bridge in Ocarina of Time that you're supposed to cross when you have the hook shot. And then until you get the hook shot, you can't cross it, which is how you get access to the desert. Well, if you do certain camera manipulations and back hopping, you can cross over that giant chasm by just taking like the bomb falling blasting damage and just like lunging yourself like you're Steven Seagal out of a moving train is about to explode.
It's like a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah. And it's just this thing of like abusing the camera to manipulate how you are flung around, because they tie the movement of the camera to equal to the movement of the character model.
Oh.
At least I believe that's how it's been explained to me. I could be wrong. It could be a different explanation in terms of how that particular thing works, but that's how they had manipulated the camera distance so that they could have Hyrule Field appear to be this like a large, massive landscape, when in actuality it is one of the larger maps. It's not as large as it appears to be.
So I just checked, and so this game, as I said, was very influential to me as a child, and we've talked about fan fiction.
Oh dear
and
God!
in middle
I'm
school,
scared of
I
where
have
this is going to
written
go.
fanfiction, and I just realized it's still up on fanfiction.net. My Ocarina of Time fanfiction. Good God.
From what? 1998 or 2001?
2001.
Jeez.
Where everyone.
Last updated in 2003. I'm not going to tell where it is, but good grief.
Yeah,
Listen,
the
the internet never forgets.
And I
Never.
actually did this for a middle school English assignment. Like you have a writing assignment, you have to write an essay or a short story, and I wrote chapter after chapter of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time fan fiction for my A in English class.
I mean, let's be honest. This is the early 2000s. Every kid was gonna be like vaguely plagiarizing anything from a video game, and the teachers were just too dumb to realize it.
Well, they knew this one was a video game. It's like, who is this Zelda you speak of? That is a princess.
Also, the first game. I mean, again, also my introduction to what happens when you kill a chicken.
And they kill you back.
Or attempt to kill a chicken.
The greatest warriors in all of Hyrule are the chickens.
Yeah, no kidding.
Which makes because they keep that in later games, which makes potential boss fighting in Breath of the Wild hilarious.
Isn't one of them they have pigs instead? I want to say there's pigs in one of them instead of chicken.
I don't remember, but either way, and I know a lot of I do know a few fans of Zelda who are kind of sick of Ocarina of Time.
I'm sick of it in the sense that I don't like watching people play anymore, because I've played it enough times to know that this is a game that I've enjoyed. I don't need to play it
remade over and over and over and over.
And I don't need to play the 7th remake of the game to continue enjoying it. I can literally plug in my N64 and play the vanilla version of the game right now.
Yep. And it's just like I said, for me, this game will always, be one of my all-time favorite games because it was my introduction. It was the game that got me into the Zelda series, and I have played every main game since, except for Skyward Sword, which, it's like Skyward Sword, from a chronology standpoint, is the first game.
Yeah. Again, and I said in the podcast before what my issues are with Skyward Sword, so... Fuck motion controls is a short answer.
Yes. It's kind of why I haven't played it. I dealt with that in Twilight Princess. I don't want to deal with that in Skyward Sword, so...
Yeah, I did Twilight Princess on GameCube, so...
I handled Twilight Princess fine. Skyward Sword was too much.
Fair.
It's also the only main title I haven't beaten, so...
Yep. Yeah, fair enough.
Personally, I would love to see a remake of Skyward Sword on the Switch, and have it be like, here's Skyward Sword on the Switch, and it's not fucking terrible motion controls. You can actually just use the Joy-Con controllers as actual controllers.
But the problem with that one is the Switch wants to remake every possible Wii U game you never played, and so it wasn't on the Wii U properly, so they can't redo it because it wasn't on the Wii U because people actually played it.
I know.
Play Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah,
that's on the
Ron is just like, oh, I know. It's sad.
Sad face.
But yes, there's that section of fans who, with all of the love that Nintendo has given Ocarina of Time these last 20 years, have sort of adopted the position that Ocarina of Time is incredibly overrated. I don't know where any of you stand with that, and I really don't care. I still enjoy the game, so I'll continue to play it.
Don't worry, we'll come back in 2 years from Majora's Mask 20 years.
Yeah, no kidding. But I in my opinion, Ocarina of Time is a good game, and it deserves most of the praise that it has been given. I don't particularly enjoy the pedestal that it's being assailed upon as though it's the Holy Grail, but that again, that's not a thing that I can change.
But Obviously, Jeremiah thinks it's the greatest ever since he has given Nintendo money over and over and over again.
I just had to keep on playing. I don't have a 64 now or a GameCube now. So,
you're the reason why, and I'm going to blame you, and only you, why the video game industry puts out the same game on every single platform.
Does it help to say that I bought Majora's Mask 3 times now, too?
No.
No, that only worsens the case.
And I never beat it on my Virtual Console before my Wii died, and then I had to buy it again.
Can we... There's some very bonehead decisions that go behind the production and release of Nintendo games, and
if Virtual Consoles continued from generation to generation, I'd love it, but they don't think that, so...
Yeah, and they're only just now starting to realize that, hey, maybe having a concrete library that people can have access to for their games having tied to an account and not to the console itself might be a good idea.
Baby steps, Ron. Baby steps.
Yeah, welcome to 2006. Jeez.
Basically,
like hell, Xbox Live did this better than flipping Nintendo has, and Xbox is a piece of garbage. 2012
and Nintendo hits 2006. All right,
we're moving on. Great. So, either of you have anything else to say about Ocarina of Time before we put this to bed?
The only thing I'll say is, if you ever have a chance to see the Legend of Zelda concerts live or video games live when they play Zelda music, Ocarina of Time music usually gets some of the loudest cheers from the crowds, and it's actually really awesome to see and hear live if you have ever the chance to do it.
I have seen video games
I fully
live.
recommend it.
Yes.
Fully recommend.
I'm sick of time travel. Time travel has never been a good thing. Why would you people keep trying to use it? This just makes timeline management so much more complicated.
That's like saying Final Fantasy 13-2 is bad. Oh, wait. I've heard this show.
In all seriousness, if you're going to be using time travel in a game, you need to put some very serious thought into how it affects both prior games and future games.
Well, clearly Nintendo did. That's why they have 3 timelines they had to create out of their butt for Hyrule Historia.
Yeah, you do realize they only did that because they eventually realized that their archaic stance of saying no, it's only one timeline can't possibly be real. I'm not joking. For those unaware, for the longest time, pretty much until Breath of the Wild came out, they said there's only one timeline in Zelda.
Until...
Yeah, and it was basically literally just the fans being like, no, you're lying, you're an idiot. There can't be one timeline because you have a goddamn time travel game.
So,
but
Link and Chrono walk into a bar. Anyway, anyway, all right.
And Nintendo releases 17 copies.
Yes, they of both
17
games.
version.
Of both games. All right. So, if any of you out there on the wide world of the internet have any questions, comments, thoughts that you want to add to for this episode or any other episode of downloadable content, let us know on our website, dlcpodcast.com. Hit the feedback button. Let us know. Let us have it. Comments, praise, complaints, whatever. We read it all when we get it. So, every single episode can also be found not only on the website, but on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, and Google Play Music. So, it's all there. All the different ways to get downloadable content into your ears. So, there we are. All it remains for me to do is to thank Jeremiah and Ron for being on this episode with me. So, with that, I am Brian. Have a good one, everybody.